Hello, welcome back. I know I haven't done just a plain astrology class on something in a while. It's just sometimes life gets that way. But anyway, I work on things in between time. But I wanted to give you this, and basically what we're going to do is how to how to chart out some of these things for yourself. Um, Using an ephemeris. I don't know. I didn't load up my ephemeris, darn. Maybe I'll do that real quick. But I want to just explain this. So, um, you know that okay, if you think about um, the sun, like just imagine it's your birthday. The sun will be conjunct your sun, right? On your birthday. So that's why I have this here, sun, the sun, and then they're conjunct. So that you would like have your birthday here. Um, when the sun and the sun is conjunct. All right. So I'm trying to think of the best way to show this to you, to unpack this. All right. So let me just explain it first. So on your birthday, the sun will be conjunct your sun, and then 1 month later on your birthday. Well, or let's just say whatever the degree of the sun is. Like I was born with the degree of the sun 16 Aries. So the next month, when the day, and that's the 6th of April. So the next month, when the sun is at 16 Taurus, it'll either be the 5th, the 6th, or the 7th, just depending on how the months roll. That's what I mean. So the next month later, at that date, my sun will be semi-sextile the sun. It'll be 30 degrees away. Okay. And then the next month, in June, this is saying for me, 60 days after my son, my birthday, when the sun is 16 Gemini, it will probably be like June 6th, 5th, 6th, or 7th. That's what I'm saying. So you just take your birthday and day before or after to see when the same degree. All right. So, and then I'll write that date down. So for me, it would be June, let's just say June 6th, because I'm born April 6th. So let's just say June 6th, I write June 6th right here. So I know June 6th, I'm going to have a sextile to my sun. So that's a good day for me to, it's going to be a harmonious aspect. So I might want to do something, that it's a good day for me to move forward. All right, the next month, July would be for me, July like 6th, let's just say. I'm just going to go with that because for now. Actually, it's the 8th that it's on the 16th, that 16-degree sun. Let me just play it by right. Okay, so it'd be July 8th, and I would write that on here, July 8th. So then I know the 8th of July, the sun is going to square my sun. And it does it that date every year, right? Okay, so this will be you for just about every year. I mean, it could be just a hair different based on a leap year, but it's going to be pretty close. And you can always look at the ephemeris every year, but this is pretty much always. So I know every year, every July 8th, the sun will square my sun. All right, if you're born, and I hope this is making sense to everybody else, whatever day, let's just pick another day. Just let's say you were born on December 8th, okay? So January 8th would be the semi-sextile to your sun. February 8th would be the sextile. Let's see, February, March, then March would be your square. Can we do that right? We go from Sagittarius, which would be fixed. Mutable, to Pisces, which would be mutable, and there would be your square. And then you continue on all the way through. So I'll just kind of finish doing mine. So I'll track it all the way through. Okay, so then the next month, okay, this one was my July one. So August, that would be like August 8th, which the sun would be in Leo. And on the 8th, it would be trining my sun in Aries, right? So then that's a good day for me. So I'm like, all right, August 8th, that'd be a good day for my sun energy. Nothing's challenging me. So, it's a good day to do certain things. Next one, the September 8th, and I did look these up. It's going to be in the quincunx, or they call it inconjunct, but the proper name is the quincunx. Now this is that weird 150-degree angle where nothing is in common. So this is kind of a crappy day, you know. It's like you have nothing in common, and it is. I can attest to that. It's like either side. Um, and then the next month, this would be October for me, would be my opposition. So October 9th is my opposition to the sun. And yeah, I don't mind oppositions sometimes as much as squares. I think they're worse. I think squares are harder. Oppositions for me, I think it about more balancing. I think, you know, an opposition, you know, I like another viewpoint. I like somebody else's point of view. Hey, can you look at the back of my head? I can't see it. Does my hair look okay back there? You know, that to me is like, you know, an opposition. Although, you know, they could get testy. It's like you say this, I say that. You say this, I say that. That's when they, you know, you get the hands on your chest type of opposition, crossed on your chest. Nonetheless, that's an opposition. And then the next month, this would, for me, would be November 8th, I get the other quincunx. This is the 150 degrees going the other way. Hope this makes sense. So let me just back up a second. On your birthday was the conjunct, 0 degrees. It's right on the money. It's right there on your birthday. 1 month later, or 30 degrees later, actually, I don't have the semi-sextile written in here because it was just a crappy, I needed the room, and it was just a day. It's like nothing in common. So I don't actually have that in here. But what I do have in here is the second one. So 2 months later, you get the sextile. This is 60 degrees away. So this would be 60 days after your birthday, pretty much, give or take one, like I said, would be that, you know, 2 months later, you get the sextile. 3 months later is 90, that's just your square. 4 months would be the trine. 5 months is, you know, the 150 degree. 6 months, you know, is opposition, would be half of 360, right? So it's the opposite. Now you start coming back around, right? So we could say this quincunx is 210 degrees, but I like to just go back the other way. If this opposition was 180, we're just going to make this again, and it's going to go back towards 0. So this is another 150. Then we're coming home. We're getting closer to, you know, back to the conjunction. So this is that other trine, 120, and then here's your other square, 90, and then here's your other sextile, 60, and then you would have the month right before your birth, and then you'd back to your birthday over here. All right. So look in the ephemeris. You can go on, there's so many ephemerises online. You can just go look at like Astrodensed, what is it, Astrology Cafe. There's a lot of ephemerises out there if you don't have one. So look these dates up. Then we're going to go do sun to moon. All right. So you're going to do the same thing again, but now this is the sun making these aspects to your moon. This top one was sun to sun. This one will be sun to moon. All right. So I was telling you, like, my sun is 16 Aries. So I go look for everything 16 degrees because that's my sun degree. Now my moon degree is 3 Aquarius. So when the sun in the sky is at 3 Aquarius, that was January 4th. I couldn't read my own writing here. January 24th, because we know, you know, that the sun is still in Capricorn at, you know, around 19th or so. It probably, I think it changes 19th or 20th, and then it moves into Aquarius. So excuse me. So sun would then be conjunct or right on my moon on that end of January. All right, then I'm going to go and figure it again. I'm going to go look every month to see when the sun is making different aspects to my moon. I'm going out of the 3 degree one to 3 degree Aquarius. It's not the sun's, it's the moon. So I'm looking at when the sun is at the 3 degrees. So I'm going to go look up anything, you know, the 3 degrees all the way across to see when the sun is making aspects to my moon. And this will be the same thing every year as well. Okay, and then we can just go all the way through doing that. Now, I give you two things. I might make this chart a little bit different. Let me skip Venus, Venus at the moment, and we're going to go to Venus or Sun, Venus. So Sun, Venus is when the Sun is making aspects to your Venus. And if those of you that understand this all the way through, I don't mean to insult your intelligence, but I want to go through this for anybody that might find this just a little confusing. All right, so I'm just going to pull this down just so he sees here. No, I want you to see all these symbols on the top. All right, so my Venus is 2 degrees Gemini. So I'm going to look that. So I'm going to see when. Okay, so the Sun, whenever the Sun is at 2 degrees Gemini, is when it's going to be exactly conjuncting my Venus. So 2 degrees Gemini, we should know Gemini, 2 degrees, that'll put it probably early in May when the Sun just starts to change into the sign of Gemini. So it's like what, May 21st or something, or 22nd. So it'll be a couple days after that, and then for me it's actually May 25th that it is right there at that spot. Then I'm just going to go all the way across. I'm going to go find the sextile 2 months later, and then the square, and then all the way across, so that I know those days. So it's like if I want to, if I want to do something, if I want to buy a house, if I want to buy a big investment, if I want to buy a car, if I want to, get a loan or something, I want to do it on a good Venus day. I don't want to, I'm going to go look, and it's like my Venus opposition day is October 19th. So I'm going to not want to do, Venus or anything at those days, or the month before or after. So actually, it's like when you have things at the inconjunct, the opposition, and the inconjunct, or quincunx, let's just say, I call it right, quincunx, opposition, quincunx. Those 3 months may not be a good time to do like Venusian planning, with anything, going on a trip, going on a vacation, a big major purchase, because you got just stuff in your way. It's like 3 months, 180 degrees, 150, 180, 3 months in a row. So this is good to know. So you would be like, circle this and be like, nope, I'm not going on a cruise or anything on those days. So for me, it's September, October, November that it's that way for my Venus. So I may not want to make major purchases or something if I can't help it. I got to check other things, but it may be a little testier. Things may be harder for that. Okay. Good to know. All right, we're going to skip Mars a second, and we're going to go to Sun, Mars. So it'll be the same thing. Okay, I'm going to try to line these up there where you can still see it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so Sun, Mars, again, find out what, where was your Mars at birth? Mine was in Aries at 6 degrees, Aries. So I'm going to just follow those, I'm going to look through that for the Mars, the Sun to Mars all the way through, because that's when the Sun will be making aspects to my Mars. All right, I'm going to do the same thing with Jupiter, and then the same thing with Saturn. Now, that tells you the Sun's placement with those planets for the year. The moon, the Sun and the moon, the Sun to the Sun will be the same every year. Sun to Moon, same. Sun to Venus, Sun to Mars, Sun to Jupiter, also Sun to Saturn. You'll get those dates because that's the Sun moves around all of those in a year. So every year the Sun is going to be making those aspects to those planets. And it's cool when you look at that. So you'll look like some dates will overlap, depending on where everything was. But you'll see some months they'll be like, oh, this is a good one. Oh, but crap, what's that one? Oh, this is good. These two. Oh, I didn't know that's that way. So it just helps you to make a little bit more decisions about things in your life, because this is the Sun's movement or aspects to those planets will be the same. So this is like your year. I hope this makes sense. All right, now the last few in here, I took the more of the inner planets, like Venus to Venus. Venus has like, like a 3/4 of a year cycle. So it will change a little bit, Venus to Venus. So, but you still want to know this too. So Venus to Venus, what does that mean? So, okay, my Venus is at 2 degrees Gemini. So 2 degrees of Gemini on that day. It's going to be the same day as this, just about as the sun there. Because I got May 23rd. All right. So actually, that was my Sunday. So the Venus to Venus, when it was actually lined up, is May 25th. And this will be different. The planet to the planet will be different every year because its cycle is less than a year. So this is good to find out, through your year, like when does my Venus sync up with my Venus, or when is my Venus trining my Venus, or when is it opposing it? I would like to know those things, and then find out if they're offsetting some of your other harder aspects, or if there's a few good ones, like, oh, this is a trine and a sextile. Oh, and another trine. Yay. Okay, so maybe that would be a really good date or time for certain things. And then we look at Mars to Mars. And again, that's going to be like it's going to change a bit because it's a 2-year orbit. So you'll be, some years will be in some areas and not in others. So those again would be good times to see how your energy is. People sometimes, oh, I'm so tired or something's like, well, I feel like fighting or something. It's like, well, this must be your 3-month suck time. When we get so that's good to know. Like when you have those 3 months in a row that you've got the inconjunct, the opposition, the inconjunct, but on either side of it, you got the trine, or to know when those squares are. So you like, that's why, yuck, So those are your Venus to Venus, your Mars to Mars, and then further out, like your Jupiter to Jupiter won't be as often because that's a longer cycle. Okay, so when my Jupiter to Jupiter is a 12-year cycle. So when you get your Jupiter conjunction, that's like 12 years. Every 12 years, it's like takes that long for it to go all the way around the zodiac. But it's a 12-year cycle, so you want to take advantage of when it's trining. When you got your Venus or your Jupiter trines. Where are they? What year is it in that 12-year stint? And then one of those 3 shit years, sorry, one of those 3 trial years that you get, like you get the 3 bad Jupiter years that maybe just suck. Now you know why, and you can kind of pre-plan for some of that, maybe. Same with Saturn to Saturn. And this is a 28, 29-year cycle. So this is going to be a much wider time. This is going to be, like I'm just going through, actually last year was my Saturn return. So that's when I would think my Saturn together. But then the opposition will be 14 years from now, right down here, right? It's going to be 14 years from where it is right now. All right. I want to maybe find out when the trine year is, and then go back in your life and look for when you had your quincunx opposition quincunx in your Saturn. And if you're 60, you've had a couple of those already. So this is just some timing, and again, we're going from the longer periods to the short ones that happen every year. Okay, I know that's a lot. Again, you can make this chart. I don't know how to put them on where everybody can get it in here, but you can just write these glyphs all the way across. And on my first rough draft sheet, I wrote 0 degrees up above the conjunction, and then I wrote 60 degrees above the sextile, and then I wrote 90 above the square and 120 above this first trine. 150, 180, 150 again, 120, 90, and 60. So that takes you around that circle, right? You know, if you think about it like that, and if you need to repeat this, I'm trying to make this as logical and pragmatic as I can. So these tell you when those times are. And again, when you get to the opposition, you got those 150 degrees on either side of it. So there can be sometimes where we hit, hit the walls or hit, you get a artist's block, a writer's block. You don't feel motivated. You're in a funk. You got some health symptoms. There's could be some times there, those 3 months, where there's some problems. Let's just put it that way, where there's some less than desirable times, and it's good to know. Not that it can maybe do anything about it, but sometimes knowing that it's like, this is going to suck for 3 months or another month now that I figured it out, or it's actually getting better, so you can prepare. Okay, that being said, I'm going to wrap this up so you can, I know you're itching to write this down and to start figuring out your dates. One more thing, what I did do, all the squares, I colored that column after I wrote down my dates in red. And then I did, the other one in red. And then I did these three here in like orange, because they're just so it's kind of like I don't know, for me it signified a red light warning. And then I put the trines in green, and then I put the sextiles on the conjunction in blue. The conjunction, let's just say it's intense. It could be good or bad, depends on what it is, but I still designated it as not quite like a square. All right, so I got mine a little bit color coded, and you print it out, and so you can kind of see it at a glance, and then you can, from that data, extract from it what pertinent information you know. All right, I hope you enjoyed that, and more to follow. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.